Hey everybody, it's Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. What are these people called preppers preparing for? Most of you guys know about it, know it already. You guys are preppers. But if you're new to the game, or you're just seeing this video for the first time, being exposed to it, maybe you found it searching preppers and you want to know. Well, preppers prepare for a wide variety of scenarios. Some are specific preppers. They prepare for a specific scenario. Some people are more generalist preppers. I fall into that category. I am a generalist prepper. I feel that general preparedness is the way to go when it comes to me. Everybody's different. Any level of preparedness, though, if you're preparing for any specific scenario, a lot of what you're preparing, what you're doing, what you're buying, what you're getting ready, and having set aside and stuff like that is very similar. I'm not going to really go into what we prep and how we prep, because this video is why we prep. What are we prepping for? So, some of the scenarios are economic collapse, because we're more than $26 trillion in debt. A lot of people feel that our economy is not tenable, that it will crash. They feel that our currency is a fiat currency based only on the word of the U.S. government, which may or may not have meaning to you. Since we left the gold standard in 1972, I believe, our money's no longer backed by gold, so it's backed by basically nothing. It's worthless, with the exception of the fact that the U.S. government says it's worth something, and people accept it as payment for goods. So that's the intrinsic value. Some people are prepping for foreign invasion, Red Dawn type scenario. Some people are preparing for natural disasters. And a word on what people are preparing for, and what the term like SHTF, which is SHIT, stuff hitting the fan, meaning some negative event that affects us in a negative manner. What events can they be? They can be very large events like that. They can be total, utter, and collapse of society. It could be lots of different things. I'll go over a couple other things. But it could also be your personal SHTF, which means, like, say you get injured on the job, or you get injured and you lose your job. You lose your ability to take care of your family, provide for your family. It could be the death of a family member that affects you negatively in that way also. Loss of income or less income. It can be getting laid off. It can be a tornado. It can be flooding. It can be so many different things. It could be very personal. It could be short term. Or it could be a very, very long and very, very painful, drawn out, very involved process. There's a whole gamut of what it could or couldn't be. So with that said, what are some of the other things? EMP, which is electromagnetic pulse, which is a pulse that fries, most people believe, all electronics. Well, that's not true. An EMP will not fry all electronics. It'll fry most electronics, except for those that are protected, and even some that isn't protected, because nothing's 100%. Some stuff will still get through, still in working order. So with that said, also another way, so how do you get an EMP? You get an EMP via a high altitude detonation of a nuclear weapon in the atmosphere. That can cause an EMP. Also, a CME can cause an EMP. A CME is a coronal mass ejection, which is a massive solar flare from the sun. That would be a natural disaster. We've experienced them before on Earth. Not really since we had computers, though, and electronics, technology like that. So it may be a rude awakening. So That's something to think about. Global pandemic is what some people prepare for. Also, nuclear, chemical, biological warfare. Also, some people prepare for. And some of these are a lot more complicated to prepare for than others. What are some of the other things? Some of the other things may be chaos surrounding an election of a country, aka November 3rd, elections in the United States of America. If a certain side loses their minds and starts a war, a shooting war, that can be an SHTF event. People prepare for a lot of things. It could be the Yellowstone supervolcano going off. It could be the New Madrid fault line earthquake. It could be the San Andreas fault line. It could be lots of different things. Some people prepare for alien invasion. Some people prepare for actual zombies. I don't know about that one, but I think a lot of people walk around like this on their cell phone pretty much are zombies. So, I don't know. There's a wide gamut of things that people prepare for, as you can see. Some of the other things could be crop failures, food shortages. That's a very viable thing. We've heard about that. We've seen the flooding in the Midwest last year. We also see some food shortages based on coronavirus outbreaks at food processing factories and plants. Also meat shortages. And then the fact that, and or things like mad cow disease, swine flu, different things like that, where mass amounts of animals have to be killed off. And so those animals are not entering in the food chain. So we have less of that product. If it goes to a large enough scale, we will see food shortages. Usually what it equates to is just other people will take up the slack, or maybe a little bit increase in price, stuff like that. But it could be getting really bad. That's a potential event. Sorry about that, I had to get a drink. Another thing could be things like the implementation of a global government, a new world order, Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, United Nations, stuff like that could be an event that people are preparing for. There could be, I'm trying to remember all the different things I've heard that people are preparing for over the years. A lot of these things are very viable things to prepare for. They are things that can and or definitely will happen. So preppers do this for a reason. I mean, to me, preparedness is just, it's what our ancestors did. I mean, like my grandma always had a root cellar, like in the basement, where she had like canned goods and, some extra food stored. They always had extra water, like some cases of bottled water, stuff like that. Before bottled water, they had, bigger containers of water, or like a water tank. It's things that people in our society today, with the on-demand supply chain, where supermarkets get everything delivered to them immediately when it starts to get low and stuff like that, where grocery stores don't have a back room anymore. They don't have a storeroom. So what happens if the supply chain breaks down for some reason? What if the trucks stop rolling, stop bringing food to the stores? Depending on what the situation is, whether it's caused by an EMP, global, financial collapse, chaos and violence by people, it doesn't matter how. But if that does happen, stores are going to run out of food in a day or two. And then in a couple days, what are people going to do when they try to feed their families? If you're not prepared, if you're not a prepper, and you don't have extra food, well, you're SOL. What are you going to do then? You're going to go to the government? Oh yeah, the government will help me. Good luck with that. Yeah, that ain't happening. You got to take care of yourself. See, America used to be based upon self-reliance, self-sufficiency. We used to be a people of can. We used to be Americans, not America-don'ts. Okay? We used to have the attitude of taking care of ourselves, doing our own thing. And that's what preppers want. That's the goal of preppers. There are preppers on the left, there are preppers on the right, there are preppers in the middle. Politics really doesn't come into play in prepping. I talk about politics sometimes just because it's a big part of what we are. It's a big part of our life and our world and our country and the issues surrounding it. A lot of the SHTF scenarios can be based around things like that. Who's in charge? Constitutional rights, different things like that. Religious rights, religious freedoms, freedom of speech, all these kind of things. So, yeah, it used to just be a way of life. It wasn't called prepping. You know, back before it was called prepping, it was called survivalists and survivalism, stuff like that. They were known as survivalists. And now the new term is preppers. I prefer the term militant farmer. I've talked about this in some of my other videos. The idea of a militant farmer is that basically what I want to do is what my family and I are working towards, getting our own homestead. Don't know if it's going to be off-grid or on-grid yet. That's not really that big of a deal. We want to have a bunch of land, a small, just nice house, grow our own crops, raise our own animals, and take care of ourselves. The goal is 100% of our own calories. Only go into the store to get items that we cannot produce ourselves. And the idea of working the land with my hands and my back and my arms and my body is so rewarding. Producing my own, growing my own food, having my kids run around the property, just chowing, eating fresh fruits and vegetables from the vines and from the ground. That is awesome. That's how I was raised. My grandparents had a massive garden, like at least an acre, and it was in the Central Valley of California where everything grew. Yes, I'm a Californian, not. I was born there. I have not lived there in a long time, and I do not have the attitude or the belief structure that a lot of Californians have. So I do not claim to be Californian. Not at all. I don't even complain to be Washingtonian, even though I live in Washington. I'm an independent and free American, put it that way. And hopefully soon a resident of the Ozarks. But, and that's the farmer side of things. So the militant side of things is that I'm prepared physically. I'm in physical condition. I'm in shape. I'm physically able to patrol, to enter into combat, to be a productive member of a combat team. Whether it be to stop foreign invasion, tyrannical government, chaos, roving bands of gangs, whatever it may be, whatever the threat is, whatever I have to do to protect my family, my neighborhood, my AO, my area of responsibility, my area of operation, my county, my state, my nation, whatever. But just like our founding fathers, a lot of them were farmers. Not our founding fathers, the people that wrote, the politicians, the big dudes. I'm talking about the people that fought for our nation and helped our nation become a free and independent nation. A lot of them were farmers that took up arms when needed. That's my ideal of who I am and who I want to be. I just want to live out my life in peace and harmony with the land, working the soil, growing food, teaching my kids right from wrong, going to church on Sunday, and being a worthy follower of Him, and living a good life, peaceful. I would love that. However, I am ready and willing and able to stand up and fight if needed. That's the idea of the militant farmer. I love that concept. I love that term. When I heard that term for the first time, I forget if I heard it from Pastor Joe Fox of Viking Preparedness, or if I think I heard it from him first. It might have been TJ from Bear Independent. I forget. I'm pretty sure it was Pastor Joe that coined that term. I know Pastor Joe coined the term neo-pioneer. I kind of like that also. Instead of prepper, neo-pioneer, meaning like homesteading and stuff like that. The things that he's doing there on Shofar Mountain, which rock. I'm jealousy is a sin, so I wouldn't say I'm jealous, but good things going on there. Anyway, that's why we prep. That's what preppers prep for. A lot of things. There's a lot of other things that people come up with that want to prepare for that I may not have heard yet or I forgot about. It just didn't pop into my mind while filming this video. So yeah, I encourage you guys all to become quote unquote preppers, militant farmers, neo-pioneers, whatever you want to call it. Don't call it nothing. Just have some extra food, water, medical supplies, ways to protect yourself, modes of transportation, modes of attaining water, all these kind of things. There's a lot to prepping. I've gone over that in different videos, and I'll probably go over that in more videos. But I encourage you guys to do the things, to prep a little every day. Always be prepping, whether it's your mind, your body, your spirit, or your provisions. I love you guys, and blessings to you and yours.